everybody, and welcome to episode 79 of the This Old Knit podcast. I am your host, Nina, otherwise known as Ine on Ravelry, Instagram, and Pinterest, and you can find show notes on the episode thread of the This Old Knit podcast on Ravelry. So, I have a ton to show you guys this week. And I just realized that one of my items is in Megwin's room still. Crap. Alright, I'll be right back. Let me go get it. Okay, I'm back. I'm having serious issues with my camera positioning this week. I kept changing it around. I haven't used my regular SD camera in a while. So just forgive me if it's pointing in a weird way or my head is not completely in frame. I have tried test shots a whole bunch of times, and if I waste too much more time, I'm going to lose my podcasting time because the kids are at the gym with my husband, and we're supposed to go to the fish store later this morning, so I will not have time to podcast again until the evening, and then my light's going to be crap. So bear with me. But for this week, I have 2 FOs, half objects. I'm not sure if I have any that I haven't shown, a bunch of whips, and then some sewing FOs as well, and also acquisitions. So I will go ahead and dive right in. Oh wait. Administrative thing. So I did mention last time that I was going to draw for a winner of the random fandom cows, and I meant to record like a separate video clip, but I didn't have time to do it. I did draw for a winner though. So the winner was Siberian Cat. Yay! So please contact me on Ravelry and send me your address. And my plan was to make a project bag kind of along the lines of whatever your random fandom was. So she mentioned that she does a lot of like teacup collecting, and so I have some really nice teacup themed fabric. So I'm thinking that's what it might be, but we can work it out. So just send me a message on Ravelry and then I will get a bag out to you. So congratulations. And, yeah, the FO Cal is going really well. It's clearly inspiring all of you, and it is definitely inspiring me as well to get things done. So I'm having a lot of fun with that. I saw today that Mel, who's Woman in a Shoe, finished a blanket. So kudos to her. I am not so good as that. Sorry. Of course, my socks box is over there. So, my FO for this week is my Hufflepuff House Pride socks. And of course, as with all things, there is a story, right? Because it wouldn't be my podcast if there wasn't some crazy story about what happened. So, I had my first sock complete on the last podcast, and I think I know I had the second one cast on, maybe the ribbing done, maybe some of the leg. I can't really remember. So what happened is I was cooking along down the foot, and I thought I had matched them up and counted the amount of repeats of the chart. And so I put the toe on, and then I tried them on, and one felt much more snug than the other one. So I went and looked back at it again, and I laid them next to each other, and I thought I had not picked up as many stitches on the gusset, which would make this part be more shallow, and as I've said many, many times, I have a very high arch. So I thought I was going to have to rip all the way back the whole foot and redo it with extra stitches. So I was pretty mad at myself, and I put them in timeout for a day, and then I was like, well, I'm just going to see if I can just add an extra repeat, and maybe that extra length will make up for it. Well, when I laid them against each other again, I figured out all I'd done is I'd just miscounted on the repeats. So I just had omitted a repeat of the chart, which I have now corrected, and they are fine, and they match, and they fit. So, yeah. I'm a crazy person. It's okay. It's okay. So let me show them to you. So these are the Hidden Stairways socks. It's a pattern by Erica Lueder. It's basically zigzagging back and forth. It has lots of stockinette with just a single, I think it's actually 2 stitches. 2-stitch traveling rib pattern with purl stitches. And then it has a purl ridge separating, and then it goes back the other way. So it's supposed to be that there's staircases all over Hogwarts and they move around. But it has a very nice effect with highly variegated yarn because it broke up any pooling that might have occurred with this yarn. I think that it probably would have pooled pretty significantly. So I'm very happy that I had a way to mitigate that. I used fiber optic yarns. I think this is her MCN base, but I'm not positive on that. This is the Mellow Grello colorway, and I got it at Wool Gathering last year, which is our local fiber festival, and it's coming up in September. I'm really excited about it. And yeah, I really love how they turned out. They are a nice fit. I used 2.5 millimeter needles, which is basically what I use on all of my socks. It's a 64 stitch count sock. The pattern is free on Ravelry, so go check it out. Basically all of Erica Lueder's Harry Potter themed patterns are free patterns on Ravelry. And I have Partridge Heel, and I love them. They're very nice, and they go into my box of socks. So now I have 5 completed Boxo Socks pairs. So that's great. And for storing my socks, if you care to know, I just roll them up into a little ball like that. Not folding them over each other, but just nicely rolling them. And then I have a little honeycomb organizer in my sock drawer, so these actually fit into each of those little honeycombs, which is great. I got it on Zulily, but I think you can buy them at like Bed Bath & Beyond. Amazon probably carries them. Just look up honeycomb drawer organizer, and they like snap together, so it's modular, so you can keep expanding it to make it bigger and bigger. And I actually probably need a second drawer for my socks, or I will soon, because almost all my honeycombs are full and my drawer can't hold anymore. So that is my FO number 1. And then FO number 2, I think I had cast on the last podcast, but it is the baby sweater for my friend. The ends are not woven in, is not blocked. I do not have buttons. So is it an FO? You decide. But all the knitting is done. Her baby shower is at the end of this month. So my plan is to block this today, and then maybe while we're out and about, I can pop over to Joann's and look for some nice buttons. I still haven't made up my mind yet, so I'm hoping that some will jump out at me, because I think there could be a lot of different button choices for it. So here it is. It looks really tiny right now because it's not blocked, but it's the Feather and Fan lace pattern, so it is gonna block out very beautifully. So this is the Wee Liesel cardigan by Isolde Teague. It's a great pattern. It's a lot of fun to knit. Very simple, but I think it has a lot of wow factor. I've knit it one other time. I made one for Molly from Homespun House when her second daughter was born, because we were pregnant around the same time with our children, with my son and her daughter. So I made a little peach one for her. So this one is knit out of the Yarn at Home Mom yarn in her shimmer sock base. It is the colorway in Omnia Paratus, because my friend is a huge Gilmore Girls fan. I made the 6 to 12 month size. I think I omitted one repeat of the lace on the sleeves because they already are as long as the body of the cardigan. So I thought any longer and they'd be like abnormally long. So here's the back. I put 3 buttonholes on the front. So there's, here, I'll poke my finger through, 1, 2, 3. So we'll have a little bit of kind of swinginess on the bottom. She can button all 3, just 1 or 2, whatever she wants to do. And yeah, I really love this pattern. It's great for babies because you can just have it over a short sleeved onesie in the summer, and it gives them just a little bit of cute factor, or maybe for when they're in air conditioning. You can put it over a long sleeved onesie in the winter, and it adds that extra layer of warmth. So it's basically all seasons except for high summer, like where it's really, really hot. But it's a very nice transition garment. So I'm glad that that's done, and I should be able to get all that finishing done before her baby shower comes. So that's finished object number 2. And that is all my FOs for this week as far as knitting goes. For sewing, I have 2 sewing FOs, and they're both for Megwin. So if you'll recall, I had her space skirt partway done last time. So here it is in its completed state. This is a pattern that I have down here, so I'm going to reach over. This is a Simplicity pattern that's an American Girl theme. The pattern number is D0681. It's a really nice pattern because it has a lot of different pieces to it. So it has pants, shorts, skirt, tote bag, knit dress, and tops. So it has like a long sleeved, short sleeved, and tank top. It has a knit dress. Like I said, it has that tote bag, and then it has a skirt, shorts, and pants. So there's a lot in this envelope. It was a little bit pricey. I think it was $23, but I used a coupon when I had one, so it was much cheaper. And like I said, I can basically make an entire wardrobe for her out of just this one pattern. So I made this version of the skirt. I did not put the buttons on the pockets because I just didn't think they were really necessary. Modifications. So Megwin is very slender. So I had to use the size... Sorry, I should have looked this up first. The size 4 waist measurement, and then I lengthened it to the size 8 length. So there's one of the pieces, but you can see like this is very small up at the top, but I made it really long. So this is my Swedish tracing paper piece. So I basically I made a nice master pattern for her, and that's what I've been using. So it has pockets. The pockets have like bias tape along the edge, which I think gives a really nice finish. The band at the top I found to be a little bit big. Maybe it is intended to have much larger elastic. I don't really know, because unfortunately on the pattern it does not list your notions. It says one package of bias tape. It talks about the buttons, and it says thread. It says absolutely nothing about elastic. So, oh, there it is. It's way far down. Okay. 1 3/4 inch wide elastic. So that was my problem. So I was using 1 inch wide elastic, and I was like, this band is ridiculous. It is so huge. I don't understand. So I actually have a lot of excess, you can see here, and I cut off a bunch. So I made the skirt, and then I actually ripped off the waistband and cut off about 1/2 inch of fabric, and then stuck my elastic back in. So that was annoying. Also, Megwin did not like having the gathered elasticy stuff all the way around. So how I fixed that for her, because she didn't like the feeling on her tummy, is I made this part be as flat as I could. And then I put all of the elastic gathers at the back of the waist. And I sewed some seams down to hold the elastic in place and keep it from moving around so it's not bunched up in the front. So she really loves this skirt. She has a space shirt that she wears with it that has all the planets from the solar system here, kind of along one side of the waist area, and it looks super cute with this. It's gray with like neon planets on one side. We got it at Target, but it matches this skirt really nicely. So that was my first finished object. So then the second finished object is the same kind of skirt, but I did it with sloths. So this one I made the waistband a lot smaller, but I overcorrected. So I made it too small, so it was really hard to get the elastic through. I had to shove it and curse, because I think that helps. I really do. And I just realized I didn't take out the basting stitches on this, so I need to do that after I'm done podcasting. So again, the pockets, these are not expanding all the way because I have those basting stitches. So as I was sewing the body down and the waistband down, I just tacked down the pocket on here and here so that it wouldn't move around and not let me sew this seam neatly. I do the same thing on my waistband. I actually put a little tacking down seam while I'm feeding the elastic through, and then you can go back and just rip that out, but it keeps this from causing you angst as you're shoving the elastic through the casing, because sometimes that can be really hard to do. So you don't need extra things making you cry. So again, this is just fabric from Joann's. I think it's like in the quilting cotton section. I went back to get some more for my sister, but alas, they had no more. She wanted to make a project bag, but I think I have enough to give her for a project bag because, again, Megwin is really tiny. So I got a yard, and I think her skirts use about 3/4 of a yard. So I think I have roughly a fat quarter to give to Missy, which should be fine as long as she does like a contrasting bottom, and she's going to have to use a different lining fabric. So that is my second sewing FO, and I'm working on another skirt for her. I cut most of the pieces out last night. I still need to cut the pockets and the waistband. I did buy some bigger elastic at Tuesday morning because they had a bunch of randomly elastic on an end cap that was like bigger, and I thought, oh, that'd be great for Megwin's skirts, and apparently that was the size I was supposed to use anyway. But it was 99 cents a pack, so I got a bunch of them. That is all my FOs. So, whips. I am working on another pair of socks that I had one done when I showed you last. It's in my super fun bag that I love. I've talked about it a whole bunch. So here's my first finished sock. It's the Knit Picks Felici yarn in the Sprinkles colorway. And as soon as I finish these, I'm going to cast on one of my new Felicis, I think. But I'm going back and forth because I also think that this, which is Beyond the Wall, it is a Game of Thrones reference. I sort of want to make blueberry waffle socks and call them Waffles with White Walkers, because naming projects is fun. So I might do those instead, because I haven't done a blueberry waffle sock in a long time. And I'm kind of not feeling it on the vanilla socks right now. I want a little bit of a pattern. So here's my second one. I just finished my gusset, so I just have the foot to do. So I should be done with those probably later today, maybe tomorrow, but I'm gonna bet later today because we're gonna have to drive to the fish store, and it is pretty far. It's about a 35-minute car ride, so that is a lot of dedicated knitting time. So that's that. Again, 2.5mm needles, nothing fancy schmancy there. That's pretty standard. And in there I also have the prize that I promised to send to Jilly for the 13 months of Magic Cal. I did not forget about you, Jilly. I promise I didn't. It is a Harry Potter wand shawl pin. And it has, you can either keep this guy on there or you can take it off because it's a stitch marker. Or a progress keeper, sorry. It's a progress keeper. But I thought that'd be perfect. I saw it in, shoot. Oh, We've Been Knitty. I don't remember the shop name. I'll link it in the show notes because I'm sorry that I forgot what it was. I saw it when I was ordering my Harry Potter themed stitch markers, and I told her I have to buy that for your Cal because it's too cute not to have as a prize. Okay, so that is whip number 1, and I may be pretty boring here because I haven't done a lot of other knitting because I finished a lot of stuff, like I said. Oh, maybe I didn't have this finished. I don't think I did. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I didn't. So we'll call this my half object. I was knitting this for Meg, who is Bad Wolf Girl Sits and Knits. She's having a Christmas in July that she extended through August Cal. So this is Cozy Knitter Gingerbread House sock set. So it comes with a coordinating mini skein for heels, toes, and cuffs. One thing to keep in mind though when you buy Cozy Knitter is her main color. It's actually a much smaller skein than normal. I think Molly from Homespun House is knitting socks for herself out of this, and she was trying to do the whole sock in the self-striping. She has pretty small feet, so she might be able to get away with it, but I just have a normal, I don't know, I don't think I have particularly large feet for a woman, but I wear a size 7.5 US, so I knew I would not be able to do the whole sock out of just the self-striping. I don't normally do a contrasting cuff, but I didn't want to take my chances. If I have enough extra, I'll just make a pair of socks for Megwin or for Joshua. I think they both would like them. So it's just a cream color. And this again was a vanilla sock. This is probably why I'm sick of vanilla socks, is I have 3 different vanilla socks on the needles right now. So I'm kind of craving a little bit of patterning. So as I said, it's self-striping, and then I did a normal slip stitch heel and my normal toe. So I do a 64 stitch count variant on Vanilla Sock for me. I have not cast on the second one for that. I do have the needles in here to do it. I found the yarn to be just a little bit scratchy. I don't know, something about it was like abrading my finger, but I also tensioned my yarn very tightly, so that could be why. And I knit these quite quickly, so I probably was putting some more strain on my hands than I necessarily needed to. And I've also noticed my skin has been really dry the last couple of weeks, so it's probably a combination of my skin being very dry, so it's going to be more sensitive, and just the tensioning of my yarn. So I just wanted to take a short break from these before I did the second one, to just try and moisturize. So that's in a fun little sheepy drawstring bag. And let's see, I don't think I have anything else because I didn't really work on my Candy Cane Coffee sock. And again, I have not cast on, ow, just stabbed myself with my needle through my bag. I haven't cast on for the second one, but this is the other pair that I'm doing that's also Vanilla Socks for Meg's Cow. And this is Candy Cane Coffee by the Yarn at Home Mom, some generic red that I don't know what it is, and I just did a contrasting heel. So I need to finish this one and finish the self-striping one in the next 2 weeks if I want to enter them into that cowl. So maybe those are the ones I should take in the car and work on, not my Felici socks. But I sort of want to get my Felici socks done because they're almost done. So new cast on for me, I finally cast on my So Faded sweater. And I did not get very far, but I at least did it. Because I wanted to have it on the needles, and it was easier to do it at work at lunchtime when I wouldn't be interrupted by the kids so that I could count and stuff. So I got it all cast on, and I did one row. Woo! So there it is in all of its glory, and this is on a new pair of needles that I acquired. So after Kristen was talking about these, I was really curious and I wanted to try them out. So they are the Lykke driftwood needles. And I ordered them through Amazon, but it came from a yarn shop. But I did get the free shipping. So they're a little bit less pointy than the Addi sock rockets that I usually use, but I do really like them. They're very smooth. The join is quite smooth, which is nice. That's what I usually find is my problem with wooden needles, is because I think it's transitioning from the wood to the metal material. It seems like that join is always really rough, and these are very smooth, so I can highly recommend them. I am, if you've forgotten or are just joining me, I am doing mine out of a set that came from Pandia's Jewels. It is a Star Wars themed set. She is not doing this one anymore, but it was for this, the Find Your Fade shawl, but I knew I wanted to do some kind of sweater. I bought it and I was initially going to just do a plain pullover and then do my own fading, but then Andrea Mowry released the So Faded pattern, so I didn't have to do that. So I'm going to do that. So this first colorway is called Try to Rescue Your Boyfriend, End Up a Slave Girl on Tatooine. So it's really all those fun rust colors from Tatooine being a desert planet, and that's where Princess Leia has the iconic slave girl costume, which is like that very filigreed bra, and then the long, flowy, tunicky thing. The next one is 1 in a Million shot. Still crash lands on Dagobah, which is a reference to Luke, because he makes the shot to take out the Death Star. But he's such an amazing pilot, but he still crash lands on Dagobah. This is my gauge swatch, so I did my gauge swatch out of this one, and it feels slightly thicker than the first one. I don't know why, but it'll be fine. But I do love how it knits up. It's really cool. And those are the only two I have in this bag. So the next one is You're My Only Hope, which I think is over here. This is my favorite one out of this whole set, hands down. I love it so much. It is beautiful, and if I could, I would get another skein of this to make something else out of. I don't know if she is going to dye anymore of this ever again, but if she does, I will snap up another skein of this. Isn't that so pretty? Of course, it's gray and yellow and cream. Of course I love it. So that'll be following this one, so I'll fade into that one. And then it starts transitioning to blue, but I can't reach all of those, and I'm not gonna reach way over there. So that is in my, I always want to say Highlander, because I've never actually watched or read Outlander, but I think of Highlander because there can be only one. So this is my Outlander bag that Annie made for me, Annie Knitter. And she also made one for Disa, and I think she has one as well. And we were intending to all do a knit along together. I am a loser and I fell off the wagon there, so I didn't do it, but I have this beautiful bag. So I'm mixing my fandoms here. I've got Outlander containing Star Wars, but whatever. Okay, so that's basically all the whips that I did. So I'm going to move into acquisitions because I have a lot. That's okay. It's fine. So as I said, I went to Tuesday morning. Why I did that is because we were having a fundraiser for American Heart Association, and I had an idea to do a white elephant silent auction. So it's basically that you could have people bring in objects that they don't want anymore, and we were going to auction them off to the highest bidder, but you could also buy them on behalf of someone else, and they have to use them for the week of the Heart Walk, which I will be part of. It was really a lot of fun. We had a good time. Everybody was really great sport about it, and there were some really crazy things. So I bought like a really sparkly, blingy, bejeweled pen and a journal that said like, follow your heart or something like that. And so my boss has to take that around to all of his meetings for the next week and write in it with the sparkly pen, and it's going to be delightful to see that. And I got a nice set of board games like Uno, Yahtzee, all that kind of stuff for $10, which was awesome. We love board games and card games. Megwin has a lot of fun with it, and I see that as Joshua gets older and is actually able to participate, that's going to definitely be one of our family activities that we all do together. So I thought that was great to get like a lot of classic games for really cheap. But of course, while I was at Tuesday morning, one cannot go to Tuesday morning without looking at the fat quarter section, and I've actually sewn through quite a lot of the fat quarters that I had. So I wanted to stack back up, and I did. So the first bundle I got is all like sweets themed. So I saw this one on top and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. It's like candy necklaces. And I didn't actually really open up the bundle to look at all of the other ones until I got home, because I got there 10 minutes before they were going to close. So That probably is not a good idea if you are easily swayed by pretties, because I was just like, I've got to throw it in my cart because it might not be here again when I come back. So I didn't take time to think, but this one I'm glad that I picked up, because as I got into the bundle, it's even cuter inside. And this reminds me of Honeydukes from Harry Potter, because that's like their wizarding candy shop. So these are all candy shop themed. So there's candy necklaces on white and candy necklaces on blue. I think these will be great liner fabrics. There's this really pretty brown with, I think of them as sprinkles. And then there are two of these, but I'm only going to open up one because they're really big. This was the one where I saw it and I was like, oh, I'm so happy I got it. It's candy jars with like rock candy, candy, they're not called candy canes, but they're like the stick candy, gumballs, suckers, little wrapped candies. Isn't that so sweet? And they're in little jars. So there's that with a pink background and a blue background. So I think this with this for the bottom, I'm going to make a sweater bag so I can get a nice big panel of that with this. And then I'll probably use the white lining. Maybe I'll do one side white and one side blue, because when I make sweater bags out of fat quarters, you actually need to use one for each side of the lining because it's so large. Whereas I can get the outside if I cut the fat quarter in half. I've talked about that before. And then there's all these fancy cupcakes on a chocolate brown background. And then that same one with a blue background. So that's my Sweet Shop bundle. And then I also got kind of a plain chevrons and lines. I also think that these would be nice with the fabric, because see how we've got that little paper. So I think this, or this would actually be a really good lining fabric for that. So that's good. I didn't even realize I was doing that, but I did get some matchers. And then I have some is that chevrons? I think that's chevrons. And it almost looks like lined paper in this very pale blue. And I think I might actually use this for with my other beach themed fabric. I'm looking around. Come out of there, dude. This. Because I didn't have a good liner for that. So I think that'd be really great together. So that was another bundle I got. And then I got two of these, but they're the same. Again, so I could try to make sweater or bigger bags, because like I said, I do try to make some reusable wrapping out of fat quarters, and a lot of my wrappings are this size, which is great for most stuff, but you do sometimes have larger things that you're giving to people. So I wanted to have these, and these are actually cheaper than the bigger square ones, like the candy shop ones. Yeah. So this one I loved because it's got all snowmen wearing all these different knitted items, and then there's little argyle stripes. And then there's a plain one with just those little knitted snowmen and Christmas trees. There's one that's different knitted hats with snowflakes. Just that red argyle. And then, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but there are snowflakes on that. It's like a shimmery, shiny background, and then the snowflakes are like a matte white. So it's very subtle. Probably have to see it in person. I also posted them on Instagram, and when I used the flash, this showed up better. So that is all my fat quarters I got at Tuesday morning. And then I got, it's 1.5 inch elastic. There's a couple packages of that for 99 cents. Not interesting. You don't care about my elastic. Okay. I already had this fabric, but here's the skirt I cut out for the next one for Megwin. So it's going to be chemistry themed. Okay. So then last time I was at Joann's, I got a couple more dress patterns for Megwin because she said she wants a princess type dress, but that she can wear to school. She doesn't want it to be a costume because she has some dress up dresses, but they're not really appropriate to wear to school. So I got her a maxi dress pattern with like a ruffled neckline. Unfortunately, this is a halter and she can't wear those to school. So, wah, wah. I might be able to Frankenpiece it. Yeah, they have a thing about 3 inches or 3 fingers is what it is for like straps. So no spaghetti straps or halters. So I would have to figure out a way to like maybe make that ruffle into a strap and then bring it straight back and sew it on. I might be able to do that. But anyway, even if not, she'll at least have something fancy she can wear because she loves to dress up. So it's a Violet Field Threads pattern. I do really love this pattern line, and they have a lot of really pretty kids patterns. And then the other one I got is just a See and Sew easy basic shift dress, I think is what these are called. So it's just like a sundress, but this one does have regular straps, and then it also has a shirt version. This one has ties for the top, but I bet I could just use the straps off of the dress because it's really just a shorter version of the dress. And then it also has some little elastic waist shorts without pockets. I almost feel like I wouldn't really make those because Megwin loves having pockets. Like, loves it. Tilly and the Buttons was having a 20% off sale. And I had been thinking about getting Tilly and the Buttons patterns. There were 2 that I wanted because I want to learn how to sew with knits. I have never sewed anything with knits before, I think. Mom, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember sewing with any knit fabric as a kid. Like I said, I sewed a lot of stuff as a kid. But I don't remember sewing with any, like, jersey fabric. So a long time ago, Kristen had made the Agnes top, and I really liked hers. I think it was just a basic gray. And then Tommy from Squirrel Pie Productions had just raves about the Agnes pattern. She loves it. She's made it into a dress. She's made a bunch of tops. So when they had that sale, it forced me over the edge, and I went ahead and got the Agnes top. This is very much a shape of shirt that I wear a lot, so I'm really excited to make some shirts that are going to fit me. My problem with tees from the store, besides the see-throughness, which I've already waxed poetic about, is if I buy them to fit me in the bust area, they're really long and flowy in the waist and hip area because I have a very large bust and not very large hips or waist. So yeah, I have a problem there. So I should be able to modify to fit my body. And then the other thing I got is the Cocoa pattern. This can be made into a shirt or a dress. Katie from Inside Number 23 has made this dress before, and then Gabby from Once Upon a Corgi is going to have a sew-along in her group for the Coco dress. So I thought that'd be a great way to do it, so I can have some support, and if I run into problems, maybe other people have had the same problem. So I'm going to try to make that too. It is a really simple, straightforward dress. It can be long sleeve or short sleeved. I probably will do 3/4 sleeve, because that's kind of the sleeve length that I like. And I'm going to try to make my sushi dress with this pattern. I'll make it into the sushi fabric. And then I think I'll do like solid black pockets here as the contrast, because the fabric itself is pretty busy. And then that'll tie in when I want to wear the little black cardigan over it if it's winter time. It will help it to all tie together. So as a practice, I bought some fabric while I was at Joann's getting the patterns. They had a little bit more sushi fabric. I bought everything that was left on the bolt. I think it was like a yard and something, yard and change. They sold it to me for a yard because it was end of bolt. So pro tip, if you buy out to the end of the bolt, they will usually give you a discount on whatever's beyond, you know, the straight yard measurement. So just in case you missed the last episode, this fabric makes me so happy, and I love it. And I'm going to also make a t-shirt for Megwin, probably from this piece. So I may practice with her t-shirt before I cut into my big fabric, because I don't want to ruin my big sushi fabric. So of course I have my big sushi fabric, and I've got to dig down, sorry. So I bought this fabric to play around with. So I think what I'm going to do first is I'm going to make the Agnes top, and I might make a Coco top as well. I got 3 yards of this, so I think I should be able to make 2 t-shirts out of it. It's really pretty though. It's just a nice cream color, and it has pine trees periodically through it. They're gray, so it's a very nice neutral top. I think it will look nice with a gray or black skirt. Or jeans. Would look good with jeans too. And it's a nice heavy jersey fabric, so you can't see through it. I love it. Love it. And then the other one I bought to practice on / make a dress for me or for Megwin, this might be my muslin for the Coco, is narwhals. Narwhals with beautiful rainbow horns. And there are starfish and hearts and shells and bubbles. The narwhals have dots on their tails. They're freaking adorable. Maybe not work appropriate. I don't know. But I don't really care. Even if it's not, I think this would be a great dress for just throwing on over the weekend to go out and about. And I know Megwin will love having a dress out of it because she loves narwhals. Who doesn't love narwhals, the unicorns of the sea? And this fabric, the print, is actually called Unicorns of the Sea. So these are all the same line of fabric. It's the Doodles line of fabric, if you are interested in looking on Joanns.com. It does shrink a bit. They warned me about that. But I washed and dried it, so it should be fine. Should be good to go. And I'm feeling like I maybe want to try to make my muslin for my beignet skirt as well, which I will eventually make out of this fabric. This I've actually seen in bunches and bunches of Joann's, so I was very cautious about it before because I bought the end of the bolt of this too, and I was worried that I'd never find it again. So that's why I've been so hesitant to sew with it. But now that I've seen it in a couple of others, I know if I get my butt in gear, I can make it now, and if I screw up, I can go buy more. So that's all my sewing acquisitions. Basically all of my acquisitions have been sewing related because I am a mad monkey for sewing. I'm really excited about it. I feel like it's coming together really well. My new machine has made a total difference. I feel much more confident. It's not a struggle to fight with it. So it feels nice. Like I'm enjoying sewing because I'm not fighting with my machine. Oh, I did have a couple more acquisitions from Tuesday morning. Okay. I found this super cute notepad. I love having these little kinds of notepads in my purse or on my desk just when I think of stuff. So it's like a mason jar, and it's two little tiny kitties like sitting on the lid of the wooden lid of the jar and fishing. Cute. And then the other thing I got, I was watching the Adelaide Cottage podcast, and Shauna from that podcast said when she's watching podcasts, she always has a notebook with her, and then as people mention stuff, she just jots it down to look up later, even if it's just look at the show notes for this podcast, this number. Brilliant. I don't know why I never thought of that. I always think, okay, I'm going to have to check their show notes later to see where I can get that thing. And then I forget. And then I'm like looking through. It happened the other day because Tommy had mentioned a fabric website where she got some really good deals. And I couldn't remember which episode it was. I couldn't remember the URL for it. So I had to go searching through all of her show notes. I finally found it. It's Girl Charlie. And Charlie is spelled Charlee. But it took me a really long time to find it. And had I had just a nice little notebook, I would have been able to just jot that down and I wouldn't have had to do all that searching. So I just got a podcast notes notebook to have just on my desk because I usually watch them at my desk downstairs. Or now I sit on my purple couch. Yay! Because I got a purple couch from my friend. I sit on my purple couch because I have wireless headphones and I just listen that way. So yeah, that is what this is for. And it just has, you know, lined pages, some pretty little flowers at the bottom. So that's that. That is actually all of my buying acquisitions. And then my yarn club came for Adelaide Cottage, Gilmore Girls themed. And it's now at the bottom of my bag, I think. I think. Yep, it is. Okay, so if you are a member of said club and you do not want to be surprised, look away. So her club, she does a skein of yarn and a progress keeper. This one has a stitch marker, I think also. Looks like it's, maybe it's not a removable stitch marker, but it is a stitch marker. So installment 2 is based on Lorelei's dream. So she has a dream where she wakes up and there's like alarm clocks everywhere, all around her in the room. And she goes downstairs and she's ranting at Luke. And she goes to try to make coffee and all the coffee is decaf. And then we figure out that she's pregnant and there's a whole banter with Luke. So it's kind of when she figures out that she is in love with Luke. I really love this episode. I definitely remember it when I watched it the first time and going, oh, she finally realizes she loves Luke. I'm so excited. So the little progress keeper is a dangly sparkle thing and an alarm clock. And then the yarn is on her Platinum Twinkle base, which is 70 5% merino, 20% nylon, 5% silver stellina. Can't talk today. And it is in the colorway Lorelai's Dream. So it is peachy pink, and then it has these rosy colors. This skein is totally my jam. I love this skein so much. And I feel like I want to do some sort of self-made gradient with this and this. So this is Tea Leaves from Wool and Vine Yarns, and then the middle one's the Adelaide Cottage, and then this one is Angry Orchard. I don't know, what do you guys think? I feel like that's kind of a gradient there. Maybe this way. I think that way. Yeah. Or fade. I feel like I wanted a pinky peachy fade. This would be a beautiful fade. With a couple other colors. Because I'd like to do another So Faded that's all more muted tones. Because my one right now is going to be pretty bold and autumnal, sort of. So I'd like one that's a little bit more like peachy, warm colors. So, playing around with that. So it's probably not going to go on the needles necessarily anytime soon, but when it does, I think it might be part of this, and then maybe I'll figure out something that goes over here. I don't know what. Put those back in my overstuffed Wool and Vine basket. So that is the last thing that I have to share with you guys. Cross stitch. I actually did work a little bit on cross stitch. I think I'm going to try to finish my Halloween cross stitch because I want to make a Halloween bag, and I've been waiting and keeping back this fabric and this fabric, and then I have some tan with the same little guys, and it's got like a little haunted house, and I want to make like the main panel would be the cross stitch picture, and then kind of quilted around it, and then the bottom with this star fabric. And it's getting to be close to Halloween time, so I want to get that done so I can carry my knitting around and enjoy it. So I worked on the key lime pie slice last night because Joshua fell asleep on my lap, and the only thing I had near me was my cross stitch bag. My big bag that I keep all of my project bags in was in the other room, so I couldn't get to it. But that's okay. It was forced cross stitch time, which sometimes I need. So I did this whole piece yesterday, and I also did this scalloped part up here yesterday as well. So I just have an easy bit to finish here. This is where the face is going to be. And then there's a lime and some whipped cream on the top here, so that's why that is kind of cut out there. So yeah, this is a hand-painted floss. So very similar to like a semi-solid yarn. It's got all this nice variegation in it, which I think makes it look even more truly like the pie, because it's not going to be one solid color, obviously, when it's like that jelly stuff. So yeah, I would like to finish that. I have 2 more pieces of pie that have been released, and I just haven't taken the time to work on this. So there's a blueberry slice, and then I think the Oreo cream pie is the one from this month. So I'm enjoying it, and then this is my little needle minder, and it is a pumpkin spice latte. So cute. Because what's better than coffee and pie? And it's in a bag made for me by Autumn, who is Coddington Autumn. And I've got this little Notions pouch that Kristen sewed for me and sent to me in a little swap package, because we do swaps periodically back and forth between us. I refer to it as our pen pal swapping because I love having pen pals, and I had a pen pal growing up, so it's really fun to do that again and like send little letters and just little things that we enjoy from around our area. So she made this for me, and it reminds me of those paint by numbers, and I thought it's going to be perfect for my cross stitch thread instead of for my notions. And then I have the little progress keeper that she sent me from Suker Miniatures, but I liked just having it as the zipper pull for this guy. It's a s'mores donut, and this is the perfect size for cross stitch. I actually need to measure this and make another one like this so I can have 2 cross stitch projects going at once, because right now I don't have more. I just have one right now that actually has a bag. Sorry. So, just more general blather. Why we need to go to the fish store today. We had a little incident last weekend. I think it was last weekend. Joshua figured out how to open the door to the upstairs. So Megwin will no longer have privacy upstairs, which we knew was coming, but it was very sudden that he figured this out. So he climbs up on the first stair, which we have really steep, like farmhouse stairs, and they kind of spiral up in the middle part. And there's a door separating them. Now the door does not actually latch. Because our house has settled, there's actually a part at the top where the top of the door scrapes. We've never fixed it because it actually kept him out. So we just left it alone. He figured out to stand on the top step, hang onto the doorknob, and like use his weight to swing back on it. So he did it, and he said, "Pretty cool, huh, Ma?" And he said, "Mom, pretty cool, huh?" So he goes running upstairs. So we sort of just let him hang out, and he helped me baby-proof / toddler-proof this room, the craft room, by grabbing everything that he could put his little hands on. Like, oh, your scissors. Yep, better put those up. Ooh, pins. Yep, better put those up. So we proceeded thusly for an entire day. Then he was actually really good in Megwin's room. For the most part, he didn't mess with things. He got the heads off a couple of her dragons, but not from actually ripping them off. He was just trying to play with them and just was a little rough with manipulating them. But that's fine. They just pop right back on. So overall, he was fine. He was playing in the bathroom, which is where we have the fish tank. And it's also where we have, like, there's this big container of more random Legos. So there's a lot of sets that we got from Josh's youngest sister, who's about 18 years younger than him. And she's going to college for the first year this year. So she sent like all of the Legos that she didn't want anymore. It was a bunch of Star Wars sets, which was really cool, but they're all mixed together. And they're all gray and red and black Legos. So I built the AT-AT, like we have like the large AT-AT with Chewie and Leia and Han. We have that set. It's the Attack on Endor set, like the old one, obviously, because it's from when she was a kid, not the new one. They've kind of re-released it, but this one had like the Ewok Legos, and then like some of the nets that they launch. There's like the glider that I think his name is Wicket uses. So all those parts. So I built that, but otherwise I just left it alone because, oh my god, I'm not sorting those Legos to try and find the pieces that I need. So we consider that the more general free play Lego set. So he was in there free play Legoing and being very good, but also very quiet, which is never a good sign for a toddler. So I was getting ready to go to bed, and we have a routine where, like, I come up, Megwin brushes her teeth, we turn off Harry's light, and we were down to one hatchet fish and Harry, because Harry ate one of the other hatchet fish's eyes and then it died. So we were down to one house elf, a little creature, and Harry. And so I'm turning off the light and I look in there and I was like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of food sitting on the plants. And so I asked Megwin, did you guys feed the fish together? And she was like, no. And then I looked more closely and I noticed that, like, there was food in just piles on the bottom of the tank and, like, all over the castle. And Harry was eating it. And betas are prone to what's called bloat, so they get very large stomachs. Part of it is because they have an air bladder, so they can breathe out of water. They can breathe air or they can breathe water. It's an adaptation because they live in rice paddies, and after the rainy season, when stuff starts to dry up, the betas actually, like, burrow into the mud, and they just keep their little lips above the surface of the mud, and they breathe through their mouths with this air bladder. And then the rainy season comes back, their little rice paddy puddle fills up, and they get to swim around, and then they're breathing through their gills. So anyway, bloat happens, and they get, like, a really big belly, and it can kill them if they don't pass whatever's in there. So when that happens, you have to take them off their food. So I saw his belly was really big because he'd been eating a crap ton of food. So I looked in the food container, which is like the little beta pellets container. There were 5 left, and it was almost completely full before. So he had dumped an entire container of beta pellets into the tank. Of course, I find this at like 9:30 at night. So I went into crisis mode of, okay, I've got to get this cleaned out. And I started just, like, trying to scoop it with the net. I got a lot that way, but it was really hard to get it out of the gravel. So I eventually had to take all the plants out, take out the castle. I got little cups, and I fished out Harry, and I fished out the other fish. And Megwin was very caring, and I sort of flipped out a little bit, so I yelled at her, which I felt bad about, and I apologized to her later because she kept, like, trying to tell me how to clean it, and I was like, I do not need input right now. I just need to save what I can, save the fish's lives, save the plants, try to get it cleaned up quickly because I needed to go to sleep. But she was being very caring with the 2 fish. Like, she put little plants in there with them, and she kept worrying about them and asking if they were going to be okay. And she was like, I don't care if the other hatchet fish dies, but you have to save Harry. Don't let Harry die. So I was like, okay, well, Harry's probably going to be fine because betas are very tough, and they can live for short amounts of time in these small containers. But the hatchet fish, I was like, yeah, I just don't know, honey. I don't know anything about them. He's probably not gonna do well. Eventually, I had to scrape out, like, a lot of gravel. I vacuumed. I did a 90% water change, and then I put everything back in. And of course, now the water's ice cold, which it had been a balmy 79 degrees before. So I replanted all the plants as best I could. Got the castle back in there. Got the fish in there, and then I had the regular heater, and I stuck a second heater in there from our old, like, 65-gallon tank, so that it would get to temperature faster. And then I left it, and I was like, well, if they survive the night, then they're probably going to be okay. But I just changed their water pH, I just changed their water chemistry because the bacteria that were there will not be there anymore. It shocked the system, essentially. So Creature didn't make it. Harry ate him, I'm pretty sure, because we never found his body. But then Harry was really big, so he didn't eat for 3 days. We didn't feed him for 3 days, and he passed everything, so he's fine. And the water finally is clear now. It took a long time for it to completely clear again. But I think we're okay. So now we're going to replace the fish we had before, which I think hatchet fish were not the right choice. The lady at the fish store, I don't know what she was thinking, but these were not good companions for a betta fish. But I've done more research online about like on betta forums and stuff like that, and the best ones they say are like Coryodora catfish. They're very teeny catfish, like this big, and why they're good companions is they're small, they have a very bony exoskeleton, and they also have barbs, so he's not going to want to bite them, and they do not compete with him for food. So the other fish would swim up to the food at the same time as Harry, and that's like, all the forums have said that's the surest way to get your betta to attack other fish, because they're very territorial and they really get aggressive with food. So Corys stay on the bottom, or they're algae eaters, so they're going to be stuck to the sides. So they're not going to swim up to get food. They're going to eat off of whatever settles to the bottom. So we're going to get maybe 2 of those, and then we're also going to get ghost shrimp, which I know these guys are great hiders. They hang out in the plants. They're not going to bother Harry, and he's probably not going to bother them. And again, they're scavengers, so they're not going to swim up to the top and eat food. That's not how shrimp work. They're like bottom feeders. So that's the plan. And then we're going to get maybe a couple more plants, because it's very green in the tank, so we want to have more like pops of color. There are some underwater plants that are red or like a darker greenish purple, so we're going to get some of those to mix in, and will also help with the tank, just because I had to reposition a lot of the plants and it doesn't look as full now. So that is what we're planning on doing today. I am going to try to finish this skirt up for next week for Megwin to wear. Like I said, I may try to sew a test Agnes or Coco top, and yeah, that's pretty much all the plans I have for this weekend. So I hope that you guys have a great week and that you get to do the things you love, and I will talk to you next time. Okay, bye-bye. You okay?
Daddy.
You gonna get back up there, buddy?
Daddy. Huh?
Whoa! That's quite the move, buddy. Careful, don't smash him.